You know what? I hate that too. Story time from Disney. Now, if you follow me on a regular basis, you know that I used to be a cast member. That's me. You ever been to an attraction where a child gets measured out front and they're okay and they get inside and they're not? Why does that happen? Ignorance. It's always ignorance. And that doesn't mean the guest is always ignorant. Sometimes it's the cast member. Herein lies the problem. When a ride has a height check, that means that ride is only safe for people over a certain height. And because of that, sometimes kids that are just tall enough will get into the attraction. Now, a system is in place where there's always a height check on the outside and usually either 1 to 2 on the inside. Mission Space had 2, 1 outside and then 1 right before you entered the rooms. Now, I want you to remember this. People can't be trusted. The amount of people that hide their kids and sneak in and then get upset when they get caught at the end is astronomical. I've had kids that come up to the height check at the end and they are like 6 inches too short. And the family members will say, well, they checked them outside. Bull honkity. Or my favorite, the parent that runs their kid up there, holds their head at the height check, and then goes, they're fine, and walks away. They don't wait for the cast member to say they're fine. They don't seem to understand that they're not allowed to touch their kid while they're getting checked. Because people will literally lift their kids by their skull so they touch the bar. I've had guests fight me so hard on height checks that I'll say stuff like, okay, but when you get inside, they're going to check again. If they're not tall enough, they're not tall enough. And no, hair touching doesn't count. Just because their hair touches the top of the bar doesn't mean they're tall enough. And yes, I've had parents that said it was okay if their kid's bun touched the top. Ooh, or they'll say, oh, it's okay with me if they ride. I don't care if they're not tall enough. That's not how this works. And on a rare occasion, you'll have a cast member who doesn't check well. Or they just look at guests and say, kid's probably tall enough. You know what? I forget. Mission Space had 3 height checks. 1 at the bottom of the hill, 1 at the top of the hill, and 1 before you rode the ride. And not only is it for their safety, but it's to save you time so you don't get all the way in the building and find out they're too short. You want to know how to fix this problem? When you get to an attraction that has a height check, make sure your kid goes up there and gets measured. And make sure they're measured properly. Make sure your kid is standing straight and tall, eyes looking forward. And if they are not tall enough, don't make a big deal about it. There's parents that will say, oh, it's okay, we'll do it next time. And then there are parents that will go, you sure they're tall enough? We measured them at home, they're tall enough. Maybe you should get your measuring stick checked. Fun fact, they measure the measuring sticks every morning. They use a tape measure, they check the height. Like somehow magically the stick's going to get shorter. And I'm not saying it's not frustrating to get all the way to the ride and be told your kid's not tall enough. It's super frustrating. That's why we got to make sure everybody's checked outside. Also, keep in mind before you go to Disney, check kids' height. You should know in your head how tall they are. And it's not a close to kind of could be. It's either they're tall enough or they're not. You should be happy that the cast member caught that they were not tall enough by the 3rd check. That was the cast members trying to keep them safe. What I'm saying is the amount of people that get upset about height checks when they can do the height check at home before they come and figure out where it's at. And I agree, Disney should add bands that kids wear that say when they're under the height checks. The sad part is, people would figure out a way to sell them online, remake them, because people do anything they can to get their kid on a ride, even if it's not safe. Because for some reason, they think they're smarter than every Imagineer that's ever worked on a ride. What I'm saying is, I get that it's frustrating, I totally get it. But if they measure the right height twice and something happened on the 3rd one, something's up. And if you feel like the cast member isn't checking them right, call a manager. Communicate with the cast member. To be fair, we just want everybody to ride. I don't want to have to stop and do anything that stops you from leaving this building. I want to put you on a number and never see you again. But I don't want your kid hurt. I want them to safely get on the ride and then go to the next one. But I'm going to tell you, as a former cast member, if somebody told me that they got checked twice and the 3rd time they're an inch too short, I'm not going to believe they got checked twice. Not properly anyways. My favorite comment is, well, they got checked outside. They don't need to get checked again. It's weird how you think that. It's strange how your word doesn't make this ride go. Mine as a cast member does. And I think we should all respect that of the cast member more. Frustrating or not, they were kept safe. And safety is the first key. But